Hello everyone, my name is ZKMK, or as I am on ESO, Marquee Captain, and today I will be showing you a Sioux boom. Now, what is a Sioux boom? It's the easiest of the native civs. It's pretty easy in general. The only tough part would be finding and herding your hunts and getting ready for Age 3 when we will be going to the fire pit and producing most of our villagers. Sioux in Treaty are the worst civilization. They are terrible in 1v1, barely viable in 2v2, and really only somewhat decent in 3v3 if you're very ballsy and have a good solid team on your back. Or should I say, to ride the back on, because you're going to be needing to be carried most likely. Playing Sioux is very risky, very conditional, usually doesn't work, not a good idea, but they're fun to play, sometimes. Really the only good matchups for Sioux are versus Aztec, and sometimes Brit or Russia, as long as they aren't going longbow or Strellet wall spam. So, they're not that good. But they're fun, so we play them anyway. First thing you want to do, first thing in I'm going to disregard that sentence. First thing we do here is we put a couple villagers to food, a couple villagers to wood. We're going to get a market, we're going to get hunting dogs, and we're going to age up, probably at 15 villagers, although it's also a possibility that we might age up 14 if we have enough food. I'm going to pick my Andy's 2v2 deck. This is the deck I would use in most games as long as I get a good hunt. The 15 Buffalo card can be switched out for Great Hunter. If you don't see a lot of herds, obviously, in a 1v1. Or a 2v2, you're going to be having plenty of herds, so that's not a problem. So the card order is going to be Earth Bounty, then Great Hunter, then all our wood cards, and then food silos, and then that's all our eco cards, a total of 6. In the background we have some Mac DeMarco, Indie Pop, Jangle Rock, Indie Rock. Very peaceful. So there we go. There's Earth Bounty. That is a small trickle of wooden coin, which is pretty good. A little bit slow of each resource, but it amounts to about more than capitalism, and a little less than distributivism. So it's a decent trickle, especially for such an eco-starved civ as Sioux. And I forgot my hunting dogs. It wasn't that long though, so not so bad. So I think we might be able to age up with 14 villagers. During the age up, we're going to switch over 4 villagers to wood so we can get placer mines. Then we'll have 10 villagers on food and switch those 4 once they're done chopping over to placer mines. Although actually, if Earth Bounty does its job, we're not going to be needing to chop for placer mines that long. I think I'll do it. Choose the Age Up Fast option. And we're going to switch these 4 guys over to the resource that is called wood. hit up placer mines. So right now we're looking at one. This is a second. No, it's not. I'll scout that. So 1, 2, 3, 5 herds. Pick up Great Hunter. I wish there were one like a little closer. These are pretty far. This one's pretty far. That one's decent. This one's pretty far. So from here we're going to distribute so we can age up to fortress. Usually you're aging up at about, I think, 22 villagers or 23. Then we'll have 15 on food during the transition to fortress. And these shouldn't be idle. And 7 gathering wood. We'll also pick the 800 wood politician. And there aren't any great treasures. Okay, there's a really great treasure right there. But I won't pick that up for this boom, because that would just make it a little bit unrealistic, even though it isn't too unrealistic. It's nice to do a naked boom. No team support, no overly powerful, I suppose, treasures that boost our boom a little too much. So I'm going to start herding my auxiliary hunts right now. There's really no reason not to, because we're going to want to put our TCs very close to our second and third TCs right next to our first, because they're going to, all our villagers in age 3 are going to be going to fire pit right away. So I think we're going to age up at 22 villagers. We're also going to get lumber ceremony from the market, because these 7 villagers are going to be on wood for a very long time. Actually, my hunts aren't that great. Oh, these are all pretty small. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. 9. 9. I'm not German, I swear to God. Yeah, that's not so good herding. Next card will be woodcrafting or exotic hardwoods. Really preference there. Doesn't quite matter. Gonna queue our age up. Also gonna take this herd before it gets stolen from me. Gonna get wood crafting. And we'll put our fire pit right here. So by the time we are aged up to 3, we should have about 1,500 food, and we probably won't actually have enough wood to start building our TC immediately, but that's no big deal because we're going to be getting 800 wood, excuse me, from the Age of Politician. My voice got a bit rusty there. So again, the Sioux boom isn't that hard. As you can see, there's a lot of downtime. Just spend it looking around the map, looking at your herds, herding periodically, because there's not that much else to do. Pretty easy. use your converted guardians and any other scouts you may have acquired just to scout. You can also use them later to scout out your enemy's base, how his wall layout is built, etc. Funny glitch of sorts. The Sioux Explorer actually doesn't have an animation for building a TC. So sometimes, at least when I was very new, I used to think there was a glitch where it wasn't allowing me to build a second TC. It was pretty scary, if I do say. Although eventually I figured out that's just how the game works. Ooh, that disappeared. It's also a good idea to put your fire pit on a control group. I like to put mine on my F1 control group. For most people that would be their 6 control group. Whatever you prefer. We're also going to want to build a farm right now. And with the Earth Bounty card sent, it's going to be getting us our gold passively, so we can have enough wood for these upgrades that come with the market. Yeah, this herd's pretty finicky, a little too far. And I've done a sloppy job getting this one too. So we're probably going to have to walk a bit of distance, although after industrial we don't need that much food because our Age of Politician is going to be this 1500 food shipment. Get the food up. I'm going to put this villager just to speed that up a little bit. It's not that big, but might as well. So we're going to keep queuing our villagers to the fire pit until we have 25 on there. And if you will excuse me for one moment, I need to attend my sister, who is actually having trouble getting our dog to settle down because he is constipated. Alright. Thank you very much for waiting. I am now back. That was a hassle. And my game sound is way too loud. There we go. Alright, so back to the boom. Essentially they're all going to be going to this resource that is not a resource. It is called a fire pit. Once we get 25 on there, its job will be completed. And those 25 villagers will remain there until we are maxed on villagers. Sioux have the earliest maximum villager time of any civilization. We are going to max out our villas at about 15 minutes. Very fast. Next card will be sawmills. Not that. This. There we go. So here is where it might get a little difficult. We're going to want to put about 40 villagers on food, and then we're going to be sending all our next villagers, all our remaining villagers, to gold. We're also going to want to build a plantation right very soon. So, looks like we're running out of herds. So, I'm going to put my villagers to gold right about now. I'm just going to leave that one. Last eco card will be food silos. Don't forget to get your plantation upgrade, and we're going to get this upgrade soon as well. Actually, we're probably not for a little bit. So there we go. Our last villagers are being queued up. There it is. That will be the last villager to be queued up. So as soon as all our villagers are done being produced, we can switch most of these fire pit villagers over to gold. Or as it is, I actually think we're going to be forced to switch some over to a little to wood and a little to food. Gonna get that. Actually, gonna wait on that because I'm pretty good to set up to age. I mean, derp. So there we go. We can age up. Gonna get this upgrade. And shoot, I think I'm gonna build another farm just to be on the safe side, just to make sure I have all the food I need, because our imperial time is going to be bad enough as it is because we're playing Sioux, so we do want to make it as best as possible. And if I'm botching gathering a little bit of wood, I should have gotten that first, but oh well. Next card will be aggressive policy. Earth gift ceremony is on the way. Aw, shucks, I'm not gonna get the XP for this treasure at least. At the very least, I'm not gonna get it. That sucks. I'm gonna leave a few villagers on the fire pit just to get our XP up a little bit faster. These 4 villagers, honestly, they're better not moving around, so I might as well put them to XP and keep our fire pit active. Once we hit up to Indus, oops, put them on the other side. Oh my goodness. There we go. Gonna want to put some villagers to food very quickly. So we can complete this age up, or start aging up ASAP. So as it is, I'm gonna get a 19-minute age time. That's not too great, but it's decent nonetheless, and there's room for improvement, but not the end of the world. So now most of our villagers are going to be going to food, although that won't last for long. They're going to be going to other resources as soon as we can. We're also going to put 25 villagers on the fire pit to get our dog soldiers, which we will use to make a dog box very soon. I'll talk about being a dog box very soon. Although right now we're gonna want to get our gold count up higher than it is, because we're gonna need 1,000 for our food upgrades, and then 1,000 for our wood upgrades. So our count is very low. I think we're on our 5th mine with this, our 6th mine with this one and this one. Sioux really do need more than 4 mines, because I want to avoid being on this plantation as best I can. And once we're in industrial, I'm going to switch these food villagers over to gather our hunts, which was our 4th age of politician. I'm actually going to switch these guys to wood, because we're not going to be able to get this food up ASAP. More important to get this gold up. Should also get this mining up. Gonna ship new ways now. That will make our TPs able to get arsenal tech. Very essential. Gonna start building my other plantations and farms right now. We need 4 farms and 4 plantations. You do not want to build more than that unless you're on a team with Aztec or Germany or anything that gets you more villagers. Reason for that is we don't want to be spending any more resources than we have to as Sioux. So I'm going to start actually switching some villagers over so we can start getting our dog box prepared. And very soon again, I'm going to take my villagers off of wood, because we don't need that much of it as Sioux. Post 40, you're pretty much not going to have any villagers gathering wood at all. So there's that. So concurrently, while you're doing all this stuff, you want to be scouting your opponent's base. Although, if your opponent's really smart, they'll be crack-shotting your converted guardians as they walk around. So you do want to conserve them, keep them off to like over here, and then wait till 30 minutes after they've made their walls. So our resource our vill distribution should be looking like 25 on food, 35 on gold, 25 on the fire pit, and then 9, I believe, on the resource that is called gold. Oh my gosh, sometimes I forget. I'm so dumb. That's really sadistic. Now, making a dog box, it is an attribute of Sioux, although in today's metagame, since it's so well known what it does, essentially, with the siege dance, each single dog soldier does about 250 siege damage, which, if you can imagine a wall having like 7,500 HP, you really tear through these walls so fast. But the thing is, it's so easily countered by 50 goons. Like, imagine 50 goons behind a gated wall that has its pillars deleted, so you can only siege one at a time. You're going in a very narrow space with against an outmassed counter unit. Usually it just doesn't end well. So what is also a viable strategy is you make the dog box, you threaten coming into their base, and then you go to your teammate's side of the field and you help him you just destroy the native posts and the native player's army, and your teammate pushes natives, grabs all 4 posts, walls the map concurrently, and you just take map well. But as it is, that doesn't happen very often because it's very difficult to pull off. Very, very difficult. Anyway, the primary target, if you are choosing to do a dog box, should be first the town center. If you're going to win as Sioux, that's going to be militarily and not defensively, not economically. That just won't work as Sioux when you have no way to gain map control or make a base with walls, I mean. So really the only way you can win as Sioux, you can't really drain your opponent. You have to at some point be able to break into their base. That really isn't possible unless you're playing very, very bad players in a 1v1. But in 2v2 and 3v3 it's possible, although albeit very difficult. It's hard to pull off. Yeah, you guys can just walk all around. So your first target should be the town center. What the town center does, taking out the town center does, is it removes this this building block. This block of buildings being able to be constructed. So essentially you can use your Wakina rifles, if I had produced one, your Wakina rifleman's battlefield construction ability to build inside the enemy base at the very back. The factories are also your primary target, and if you're playing against an Asian civilization like India or Japan, say, then you also want to be taking out their wonders. And I have too many on wood. How did this come to be? I'm actually overgathering wood by quite a bit. We're going to want to train one Wakina rifle and build our war huts and our stables and one TP so we can get the upgrades from it. If you don't want to do a dog box, usually I like to produce 36 Wakina, then send this waterfront shipment, so we have 50 total Wakina, and then build a couple axe riders, maybe produce a couple of dog soldiers from the fire pit, although not that many, and then make a slew of rifle riders, like 13, 14, 15, something like that. So we're going to queue up our Wakina, get the rest of the upgrades. I still have a bit too much. My resource distro isn't perfect. I believe Sioux produce about 50 resources per minute, so as it is, I don't think this boom is looking too hot. It should be able to hit 1500 plus. If you don't do a dog box, your score will be higher because 20 seconds to produce one 250 gold unit, I believe is what it costs. 300, so 3 points per cycle. That's not that good. So in a minute we're producing 9 resources per minute. 9 score per minute, I mean. With about a fourth of our economy. So that's not very good, not very optimal. So making a dog box is pretty easy to counter. It takes a bit away from your resource count. Actually, quite a bit away. It lowers your score. It's an option, is the best way to put it. Although it's not Sioux's only capability, by far. Units you're going to upgrade will be Wakina rifles, axe riders, and rifle riders. Bow riders are kind of decent. They do a little bit better versus enemy dragoons, but they're still not that great, in my opinion. So I'm going to save my card here, so I can make sure I get my Wakina 2 Kittle support, these Cav attack cards, and maybe something or another else. So this is what your resource distro should be looking, your build distribution should be looking like. 25 on fire pit, 25 on food, 14 on wood, and 35 on gold. I'm probably going to take some more off of wood because I'm not going to be needing it. Because I did overgather it for a very long time. So instead I'll just put more on food. But after you're done with the fire pit, you'll want 6 villagers on the fire pit producing experience, then 34 on food, 40 on gold, and 19 on wood. So I believe right there we have all our wood upgrades. Yep, pretty much all of them. And we already have 6,000 wood, so I'm going to take these villagers off. Because I really do not need wood that bad. Unlike with Aztec, who have units that require wood to be produced, like coyotes and mace, all of Sioux's units cost food and gold. At least all the units that should be used. So right about now, you would want to use these couple units to scout your opponent's base, scout his walls, see weak points. At least by doing that, even if you're not doing a dog box, you can probably scare him into think you're doing one. Because scouting your opponent's base isn't that important in a normal game. Knowing what your opponent's start army can be done with just one mortar at half map. It's not that difficult. And even at that, your start armies with any civ you can be pretty flexible. Even if you make like 25 Caçadores as Portuguese, if your opponent's going like full Hussar, you can deal with it. So it's not something to really obsess over if things do go wrong. The way to make a dog box, as I did not cover, should be to put your war chief and your dog soldiers both in defend mode. So very soon here we're going to be done producing dog soldiers. Then once we're at 199 pop, we're going to send this to Kettle support. And then after that, we're going to get these dog soldiers. in the end, if you're going a full dog box, you'll be able to have 43 dog soldiers, including your war chief. Not including your war chief. 1 war chief and 43 dog soldiers. So there's our 2 kettle support. Ship it right here. Get our extra dog soldiers. Boom. So there, right here, is a dog box at its full power. I'm actually missing one. I'm a noob. Here it is, a dog box at its full power. Again, you don't have to box. Honestly, 43 dog soldiers with the war dance is a powerful enough start army to break apart pretty much anything. So it's not essential. You can fight at half map heads up with Sioux, although instead of sending your these cavalry damage and cavalry HP or Mustangs, you should send riding school and these TP cards. If you're boxing, you should send these cards. If you're gonna fight heads up or with a different start army, it should be these cards. Sioux, I'm gonna send cavalry hit points. So we're at about 630 left in treaty, and I have about 1200 scores, so I should hit 1575, about, roughly, something like that. And I'll have about maybe 20k gold, maybe 40k food, and I'll actually probably have way too much wood, more than for my own good. But I'll just let it happen. Be organic, you know. Anyway, in a 1v1, you can make a wall with your markets, you can make a wall with your stables, your war huts. Although, as you can see, it's draining my wood pretty bad. It's very easy to destroy. Playing Sioux in a 1v1 is honestly very pointless. I know that a very long time ago, like 2009, 2010, White-Eyed Irish King was probably the best Sioux player to have ever existed, and he played them pretty much selectively in 1v1, and he actually got to a very good rank. But nobody can really match his skill that still plays nowadays, and nobody's ballsy enough to play Sioux, myself included. So there's that. I'm actually gonna put some more villagers to food, because 9k wood, that's just way too much. These 2 can go there. In a team game, you're still gonna want to have your war chief with you at the fight, so you're gonna want to have like 2 villagers chopping wood right next to the native post, so you can take it and get its upgrades right away. Villagers build trade posts much slower than the Explorer, but the Sioux Explorer is just the best one in the game, so you need it with your military at all times. Some people like to hide their dog box. Honestly, I don't think it matters that much. If your opponent sees you on the dog soldier dance, they pretty much know that you're gonna dog box. or do something related to dogs, whether it be rush the natives, rush their base. So they're going to be making a goon heavy start army, regardless of what you do. So it isn't that important to hide that you've made the dog box, but like after 5 or 3 or so minutes left in treaty, you do want to hide the position of your dog box. You want to make sure that it's a surprise where you're coming from, at the very least a small surprise. These Wakina, I would also not, these like 5 standalone Wakina, I would not line up at half map. I would have them a little farther back. The biggest mistake you can make if you're the teammate of a Sioux player is to not make walls everywhere. You need to have villagers right here, some right here at 40, right here, at your fight. You need to be walling everywhere. It's very difficult. I've never actually been the partner of a Sioux player. I've always been the Sioux player. But that's how you would do it. How you should do it, hopefully. I think I've actually played maybe one match where I've had a teammate play absolutely perfectly. Like everything was set up, everything was... He was just the perfect teammate for Sioux. I don't know how better to describe it than that, I suppose. So I think this boom will actually hit maybe 1530. That's decent for making a dog box. In a 2v2, you can hit about the same score. If you're not making dogs, you can hit 1600, no problem. If you have team cards, maybe 1650. 1700 is about the maximum. You would need to have like played perfectly, aged up at like 18 minutes. Had a big treasure. It's pretty hard to hit that. I've only seen it done once. I suppose it's possible. With team cards like from Germany or British or Aztec, it's a really big cushion for yourself as a Sioux player, because that gives you a big eco benefit. Although as British or Aztec, it's very hard to support a Sioux player. For one, Aztec don't have mortars to support you with, although they do have decent walls, I suppose, if you use the town dance. And with Brit, they have to manage their livestock as well as their nap production if they're playing natives, so it can be pretty difficult for them. So if I had a regular distribution, I would have 35 on wood right now, actually 34 on food right now, 40 on gold, and then 19 on wood. But I messed up and I stayed on wood for too long. So right now, you would want to send all your wood villagers over to food. I mean, over to the fire pit. And you would have 6 on the fire pit instead of 4 like I had, producing experience. So there we have it. 36 on food, 40 on gold. If you're in a team game, 2 over here, about to build a native post. Set this to siege dance or war dance, if you're going to fight heads up. And then rush your enemy's base. Or native posts, or anything else to your desire. So this boom hit 1533. I have a good stockpile of food, decent-ish stockpile of gold. You can usually hit like maybe 20k or 21 or 22k. My wood pile's decent, 11,000. Usually I like to have like 9,000, a little less, and my food stack's pretty good too as well. So really, there's not much more to discuss. Obviously, here's my army. these Joaquin are pretty defenseless. So if the enemy was very smart, they would make like 5 hussars, and then 45 goons, and block your dog soldiers, and then they would send like their church army to their teammate. So all in all, Sioux, not a very good choice for treaty, but regardless, here's how to boom with them. My name has been The Kamike, and thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and see you next time.